Barbados already reaping the positive spin-offs from We Gathering. 2 businesses counting their losses after a massive fire at Grisette's Industrial Park. And in sports, the Barbados Pride crushed the TNT Red Force at the Mecca.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
A very good evening to you with this weekend edition of CBC Newsnight. I'm Ryan Broom. In our top story, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley believes We Gathering activities are having multiple positive effects as the year-long celebration shifts from parish to parish. Now, she was among the thousands of locals and visitors who converged in St. Peter for the Spikestown Alive We Gathering events yesterday, which included a massive nighttime concert. It was a mixture of food, fun, family, friends, and a festive atmosphere, truly helping to bring Spikestown alive at the nighttime concert. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley was in the thick of things, and she took a brief moment from greeting people and enjoying the activities to share her impressions about the impact of We Gathering so far.
This is a wonderful opportunity for Barbadians of all backgrounds to get together. I just finished meeting some young ladies who have come in from the States. I saw some other gentlemen who have come in from England. And then there are a lot of people, like myself, who are coming back to the parish. My father and uncle were born just there on that street in Queen Street. And in a very real way, as I keep saying, We Gathering is not just about people coming from overseas, but it's about Bajans reconnecting with their roots. And then the opportunity to bring economic activity to the people and the businesses around.
And the Prime Minister also commented on another major event held in St. Peter, Spikestown Alive, the Carolinas Link.
I heard that the link up with Charleston went extremely well. As you know, next month we celebrate 350 years since Barbadians left from the parish of St. Peter and went to the Carolinas. So in a very real sense, this parish of St. Peter and the theme that it has chosen with heritage is one that is very poignant and allows us to be able to reflect on where we have come from, but more importantly, about where we want to go.
Meanwhile, St. Peter MP and Labour Minister Colin Jordan was very happy about the nighttime concert and the other activities held so far.
The response from the crowd has been great. It's been a brilliant event, and everybody is saying to us, we have to do it again. We have to use this month's activity as a catalyst for going forward, for bringing life back to Spikestown, for highlighting our heritage, about talking about our cuisine, highlighting our arts, and particularly highlighting the role of our young people.
And those in attendance at the concert included Barbadians living overseas who were specifically here for We Gathering, along with visitors and ordinary Barbadians from all of the parishes.
I think it's great. I think Spikestown ought to have this at least once a month, not just for We Gathering.
Spikestown needs to do this more often. It brings the community together, and I'm very, very impressed with what Spikestown has done tonight. This has made my trip to Barbados very, very memorable.
Yeah, it's our first time in Barbados. We're from Canada. We're enjoying our holiday. We really love the show here. Kind of just accidentally walked in on it, but it's really cool.
The St. Peter Regathering activities continue this week with standpipe stories, among other things, sporting activities, and more. Well, the operations of at least 2 businesses have been impacted by a massive fire which broke out at Grisette's Industrial Park in St. Michael this morning. Our Sharika Griffith has the details.
The owners of Midwest Manufacturing and Distributors Inc. and Glass Fiber Products Limited are counting their losses after fire razed the buildings housing their operations in Grisette's Industrial Park. According to Chief Fire Officer Errol Maynard, the blaze, which sent thick plumes of smoke skyward, started just before 6 in the morning, and the presence of chemicals in at least one of the buildings resulted in several explosions.
It was some sort of acid, chemical burning. On further discovery, we discovered that it's acetone and some other similar substances that were burning and some explosions. We had some challenges with water supply in the area, and that was augmented by a tanker from Seals Construction, and the Barbados Water Authority.
By midday, 32 fire officers from the Vauxhall, Bridgetown and Worthing fire stations managed to contain the fire, so it did not spread to other buildings. However, out of an abundance of caution, health officials asked residents of Grisettes and other affected areas to take the necessary precautions to avoid inhaling the smoke. As Deputy Chief Environmental Health Officer Ronald Chapman explains, chemicals such as acetone tend to give off toxic gases when burned.
Fortunately, there have been some explosions, which means that there have been more dissipation of the gases rapidly, which means that persons downwind will not be as much affected as if there was a slow smolder and a gradual release. So once we have seen that, we will be requiring from the public to just take the necessary precautions. If you're asthmatic, you have problems breathing, you have any other complications, then it would be good for you to move out of the area for the time being.
Mr. Chapman, however, notes that health officials do not anticipate any major fallout from the fire, as high winds help to lessen the intensity of the smoke as it moved downwind. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks, Sharika. With this important news note now, classes at the Vauxhall Primary School are expected to resume from Tuesday for all students, according to the Ministry of Education. However, Class 4 students are asked to report to the school tomorrow and will be directed from there to the Vauxhall Methodist Church, where their classes will be conducted. Now, school meals will be provided at that location. According to the Education Ministry, all teaching and non-teaching staff are asked to report to the school tomorrow as well. Now, the ministry is also advising parents and guardians that remedial work will continue at the school compound on evenings and weekends to address the issues identified. Welcome back. Well, government is considering expunging the records of people convicted for illegal vending in the past. Word of this from Minister of Home Affairs Edmund Hinkson, noting that at any given time there are at least 750 people behind bars, the vast majority of them men. The minister says those people who have committed minor offenses must be given an opportunity to reintegrate into society. Now, he says that's why Cabinet has already agreed in principle to decriminalize vending.
Because it is unfair that people in Swan Street, Bridgetown, looking to make an honest dollar, but because of laws that emanated and had their genesis 300 years ago in the throngs of slavery and enslavement of our ancestors, should cause them to have an adverse police certificate of character and therefore have adverse consequences on their future life in this country.
Now, Minister Hinkson was speaking during a church service for the Prison Aftercare Committee at the Church of the Nazarene in Westmoreland, St. James. That committee was set up 34 years ago. Acting First Officer of the Barbados Prison Service, Granville Drakes, says its mandate is to help inmates who are about to leave prison reintegrate into society.
Our society may not forget, but the prison service tries its best to rehabilitate them so that we in our society can forgive them and embrace them, give them a second chance, give them new hope that they can contribute to our society. And with that, I say after the chairman of the board, give them a second chance and welcome them. They really need our support.
Barbadians have been urged not to hold on to the past, but instead to learn from it and use that knowledge to enrich their lives and those of others. Now, this word of advice from Rector of the Church of Christ the King, Reverend Suzanne Ellis. She made the call during a special service to mark Black History Month, which also doubled as a 33rd anniversary service for the Kiwanis Club of Barbados North. Reverend Ellis believes that in spite of our tragedies and triumphs as Black people, we now have a chance to choose the legacy we want to leave for future generations.
Our circumstances, we may not always be able to control them, but we can choose our responses to our circumstances. We can choose not to be angry. We can choose to forgive. We can choose to live our lives governed by the fruit of the Spirit, joy and peace and self-control and goodness and gentleness,
Against such things, the Word of God says there is no law.